My next guest is working to protect Ghana. She will explain herself. But she sits on the board of NAFTI. She's also president of the Black Star International Film Festival. For many of us, she's an actress and she's an entrepreneur. Juliet Asante, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Welcome to my show.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you're working.
I am working.
Why?
Well, I think it's obvious why I'm concerned. I'm a citizen. I have a family. I have a right to make my voice heard. I think that what's going on is dangerous. I have seen war before. I grew up in a country that fell into war. And so I'm determined that I will not keep quiet and that Ghanaians need to make those the two big political parties are aware that we are going into 2020 and this is something that we will not stand for.
We here at JoyNews launched our own campaign to disband party militias now.
Right.
We know the president also made a statement at the State of the Nation calling on the two major political parties to come together and sit. Do we as individual citizens, and I know that you've made reference to the fact that we shouldn't be spectators.
Right.
Do we as individuals also need to do something?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, I think that for me as an individual and even walking alone, choosing to walk alone, showing the power of one. If you even go back to what the president himself said at the beginning of his tenure, that we should be citizens and not spectators. And I think that if anything happens, we are the ones who will be affected. I mean, not to say that politicians will not be affected, but I mean, as a citizen, as an entrepreneur, as a student, as a corporate, as a parent, you cannot go about your usual duties as is. So if you sit down and you don't make your voice heard, and so this walk, is going with the hashtag Why I Walk for Ghana, and I'm actually inviting everyone to do their own individual walk. So you don't have to walk with me. Mine is starting tomorrow at 7 a.m. from African Region to Parliament House. I think that we owe it to ourselves. We have the responsibility as citizens to say that, listen, we are going into 2020. We want you to know that if you don't disband, and I call them private, criminal militia groups, we will not vote for you because we are scared. And we have a right to be scared. We have a right to have fear. And we should act on that fear, because if you don't, then those who need to act will not know how serious we are and that people do need to make their voices heard.
There are people who have said, let's go back to the beginning.
Right.
Why and how we got here in the first place if we have to cure this.
Right.
What's your own understanding of how far we've come with these militia groups?
Well, I mean, in the beginning, everyone did not exactly pay attention. And in the middle of all this crime, my question is, why are we not empowering the police enough? Take it from those who've been in power before to those who are in power. Why are we not empowering the police enough to do their jobs? And so it comes from the point of view, or from the premise that we don't trust the police. I mean, we can all not go hire a private military person or police person, to come and guide us. And so as a country, we rely on the state, and the state provides security through the police. And so I think this entire phenomenon came from the premise of, we cannot trust the police or we cannot trust the security services. And, you start to rear a little cat in your room. And eventually, whether you're aware or not, if you brought a tiger home, it eventually becomes a tiger, and you need to let it out. And I think that's what is happening. But what is most important, I think, for us as a country, because our democracy in a way is young and we are still growing. And if you follow old democracies, they've all gone through their own issues. The most important thing is, how do we deal with it? And for me, it's important that we deal with it conclusively enough so that it doesn't go underground and we are thinking that, oh, we've dealt with it, and then in 2020 it rears its head and the environment is too hot and there's nothing we can do about it. I mean, coming from my own experience in Liberia and what I saw, and my family, some family members actually fought in the war, and some died in the process. People died, friends of mine died. And it touches everyone. I mean, when a situation comes, it doesn't know party colors, it doesn't know the color of your skin, what you're wearing, it doesn't know anything. And I certainly feel that Ghana is predominantly young people. I think about 60 or 70%, I'm not too sure, of the population is young people. And we need a future that is embedded in peace for young people to be able to grow and take Ghana to where Ghana needs to be. And certainly we've also, as a country, gotten an enviable position in the sub-region and globally. Are we going to jeopardize all of this by, taking on or going on like this? This is not on, and we cannot, as a people, allow it to go on.
If you use the Liberian example, how do you think we can cure this? Is it just simply asking the main political parties to disband the groups?
Well, there are many ways to go about this. It's never as simple as that. And that is one of the things I recognize. I think that the president himself recognizes this, and that's why he asked for dialogue and engagement and gave 1 week. So we are giving the entire process. I am giving the entire process 1 month. And I hope that all Ghanaians will join me to do this. It's never as easy as that. I mean, they are also citizens. Whoever these gentlemen are, they're also citizens. They need jobs and all of this. So, they have to be dealt with, because obviously one of the things I always say that already we have a very high unemployment youth rate, and a lot of young people with a lot of energy with nothing to do. In itself, it has its own security implications. And then you have these people who have been trained or who have trained themselves or whatever, being on the streets. I mean, we've had issues with armed robbery and so many other things that can happen if people don't have, food on their table. And so I think that this has to be dealt with from different perspectives, from different, it's not a one size fits all, from even reorienting those who've been engaging in this to become non-criminal citizens again, because this is obviously a criminal act, and I think Ghanaians should do ourselves a favor by ceasing to call it vigilante. If you go into the dictionary, this is definitely not vigilantism, and so we should do ourselves a favor, because by identifying the problem adequately, then you can find the adequate solution to the problem. And I think we need to empower police enough, and all our security services, but legal security services, and also by saying that, like I said, by saying that we don't trust the police in itself is disempowering. And so we should learn to empower the structures that we've put in place and abide by it. And we expect that the political parties that hope to rule this country or are ruling this country will be responsible enough and love this country enough. And maybe most of them haven't seen war before. I have. And so if you've seen war, no matter how tall your wall is, somebody will scale over and come after your family. And so we all need to be careful, especially when we are dealing with people who don't have too much to lose.
Yeah. I can imagine that you're quite young when the war in Liberia happened.
Right.
How much did the war disrupt your own life?
It took my family to the bottom. I mean, my family was doing very well. Liberia, my grandmother went to Liberia, and then we followed suit. And we were doing very well in that country. And pretty much it took my family to the bottom. Up to this day, my mother hasn't even recovered, to the extent where even when you close a door, now she's okay, she would jump, So it affected my family from physical to financial to emotional to so many directions. I mean, at the beginning of my career, for instance, wanted to do law. One of the reasons why, and I had all the qualifications, one of the reasons why I couldn't go forward was because my family had just come out of the war and they just couldn't afford to pay my fees through school. And so these are all some of the repercussions. Friends, many of the friends I grew up with are no longer alive. And so when I go to, when I look at my plate of friends, they all start from, SS or Form 5 or something like that, because I have no friend that I grew up with. I mean, I don't wish this for any Ghanaian.
Yeah.
Nobody should wish this for any Ghanaian.
We don't want to go there.
We don't want to go there.
No.
And so I think I'm particularly qualified because of this experience. And I certainly also want to demonstrate that we all can do whatever we can within our power, the power of one. And also as a woman, being at the forefront of family issues, because women, that's what we do.
Yeah.
And if the family suffers, we all, we will suffer mostly. Yeah. And so that's why I think that this is a responsibility that I have. I'm not waiting for anyone. But I hope that people will all take this upon themselves and do why I work
Why
for
are you
Ghana.
going to Parliament in particular? Why Parliament?
Well, the two major political parties are represented in Parliament.
Absolutely.
You know, they are represented in Parliament. What we are sending is a letter. It's an open letter. We are doing a copy of the letter to the presidency as well, and saying that, and we are strongly calling on Ghanaians. I am strongly calling on Ghanaians that any party that doesn't come to the table and avail itself to engagement and to dialogue should not be voted for. Because if you are serving the people, you need to serve the people, and certainly war is not what will serve us. Because you know, no matter where we are in our developmental issues, we need peace to be able to carry on our usual activities. I need peace to be able to work. You need peace to come to work. And so we do need peace, everyone, to be able to do our work. And this is scary, even more so because we're very near the elections. And you know, election times are testy in themselves. So why do we put petrol and put fire in it, and also to the point where the security agencies, the legal security agencies may be overwhelmed. Who knows? I do not know how many men these people are. They could actually even have more manpower than our security services. So if our security services are overwhelmed during the elections, what do we do? If somebody comes to knock at my door, what do we do? Just the thought of that sends me into nightmares.
Yeah. So you're marching alone?
I'm marching alone. I'm not stopping anyone from joining me, but this is a one-woman walk, peace walk. And if anyone is going to join, you have to, this is non-political. This is a citizen doing their responsibility as a citizen. We will not allow any disruption of any sort. And we need to, just as we are seeking for peace, I need to make this as peaceful as possible. Everybody who wants to work, why I work for Ghana, needs to make this as peaceful as possible.
Is Parliament ready to receive you?
Well, we have taken a letter. We are taking a letter there this morning. We've already applied to the police. We are taking the letter there this morning. We are just going to present the letter. I don't see why there should be why they would not receive me. But whatever be the case, for me, the most important thing is for people to realize that we can all speak. And this shouldn't be Juliet alone or Juliet Asante alone doing this. It should be we all doing this. Why I work for Ghana. Why am I saying I don't want this? So like I'm saying, if you are in Kumasi, if you are in Uho, if you are in Carnation, whatever, just go to the police, ask them and tell them and ask for permission, and then do your own work to wherever and say that, you know, as a Ghanaian, I want to make my voice heard, that I will not tolerate this. And if we all make our voices heard, I think they would have no choice but to listen to the will of the people.
Absolutely. So you're given 1 month, effective tomorrow, I guess.
Right. I mean, the president himself has given this week for engagement. And after that, you know, because ultimately the president, we have a father, and the father is the president. And so, you know, we're appealing to the parties to come to the table. If the parties do not come to the table, the responsibility ultimately lies with the father of the house, and we have a father. And so we are saying to our father that we will not accept this, and certainly you have a legacy to maintain. All the past leaders of this country have a legacy. That legacy cannot be continued if it's disrupted. Your own legacy will be affected, and the future generation will curse you. And we know that our father doesn't want that. So we hope that, you know, those who need to listen will listen, and the right thing will be done.
Okay. We walk with you tomorrow.
Thank you.
From 7 a.m.
From 7 a.m. to Parliament House. From 7 a.m. from African region. We are congregating at African region and Accra Mall. That's where my team is, and I am doing my solo walk.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for doing this.
Thank you.
I think that people usually would need some kind of inspiration.
Right.
So it's good that you're taking the lead in terms of the one-woman protest. So thank you for doing this. And we hope that a lot of people will take inspiration and do their own thing in whatever ways. We here at Joy News, we started the campaign of the disband the party militias.
Then I hope you will join me, because we need to take this, you know, as nationwide as possible. And you know, the power of the people is so strong. Sometimes as a people, we don't recognize the power we have. And if this is one thing that we can all come together and put aside our party colors, because like I said, if this happens, if a live bullet is on its way, it doesn't waver and say, who do I mean, even in the Matrix, the film The Matrix, you know, you can go back and say, you know, it's going to avoid me. It will hit you. And so if there's one thing we can all, you know, come together on, this should be it. Not for Juliet, please. This is why I work for Ghana. So you make your voice heard. Let the political parties understand in very clear terms that we will not stand for this. This is not a joke. I want to almost look into your camera and say that, listen, if you haven't seen war before, I have seen war. This is not something you want to see. You will not be spared. Your family will be looted. Your children, your father, your wife, your husband. It is not pretty. And this is how it starts. And so while I work for Ghana, let's make sure that Ghana remains the shining star, the black star of Africa. We are determined that Ghana stays that way. And I hope you join me while I work for Ghana.
Juliet Asante, thank you very much. See you tomorrow at the region, 7 a.m.
Thank you.
All right. And join in the walk as well. Stay with us. Ketsi, Awake Purified Drinking Water will bring you some show business.